WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. AccuWeather tells us today partly sunny, a chance of showers, 69 degrees, patchy clouds, and 51 tonight. And then over the weekend, pretty darn nice. Partly sunny Friday, 70. Saturday, sunshine mixing with clouds, 75. And Sunday, mostly sunny, a high temperature of 80 degrees. Perfect weather for whatever you're doing outdoors, and that includes the Northern Appalachian Folk Festival. With us this morning is Dr. Abigail Adams from IUP. Marcus and Mack, a law firm representing injured people, brings us all of our interview segments here on Indiana in the Morning. And it's good to have her with us because she has a really, really interesting topic coming up. I think, Abigail, first of all, good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you with us here
Thank
today.
you.
We talked with you earlier in the year about working with Indiana Borough Police Department and others on social interactions and trainings that you've been doing for a number of years with them.
Yeah.
This is a whole different topic for us, and it's a fascinating one to me. There are workshops involved with the Folk Festival every year, and you're participating in one on Saturday. What is it about?
Great. Again, thank you for having me. And thank you for highlighting this workshop. It is in conjunction with my work with Dr. Amanda Poole, another anthropologist at IUP who I collaborate with. And so I'd like to give a hearty hello to her. She is currently teaching. And the workshop is going to focus on the rural experience of COVID-19. One of the things I work with within the anthropology department as well as within the public health department, and one of the things that we see happening with COVID research is it's really focusing on urban context and urban responses. And I feel like right now is a really important time to understand how rural people have experienced this very traumatic what is known in the literature as a shock event, external shock event. And it's an opportunity for IUP students and myself to engage our community, understand where things went well, where we were able as a county to respond to COVID, and where there were some shortcomings. And again, this is all, there's two kind of objectives to help students engage the county and the community while they're at IUP, and to form linkages in terms of service learning, but to also provide a service to our county in terms of data. We're collaborating with some of the commissioners, and our collaborating partner in the county is the oh my gosh, I forgot the name of the organization.
It'll come
to me. Anyway, I apologize. But what we're going to do is we're going to collect data and present it to our collaborating partner. And so then they will be able to use this data in future kind of policy making.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that we do is, it sounds very technical and academic, but it's really about collecting stories. And so that's what I do as an anthropologist, and that's what Dr. Poole does, is we sit down and talk with people about their experience and understand kind of the on-the-ground response to COVID. So, and that's why we're presenting this as a workshop at the Appalachian Folk Festival, is because it is about storytelling, right?
Yeah.
And it's about the community, and it's about how we were able to respond to this very sudden and very disruptive medical event. We had churches responded. We had community organizations such as the Chevy Chase Community Center who, activated new systems of delivering food. I mean, there's a true resilience to our community. And we want to understand what that resilience is and maintain that. But we also want to understand, where were our shortcomings. We know that, for example, with opioid use disorder, which is devastating our rural community and youth anyway, we know that there was a major uptick in harm related to opioid use disorder, and we want to understand kind of what did that look like and how can we respond differently in the future.
You had some grant funding to help you out?
Yeah, this is a student-based research project, as I mentioned. With Dr. Poole, we kind of facilitate the student research. We understand it's a very important and it's a very ethically divisive kind of type of research. So, we prepare our students. They go through the human subjects review. and they're taught to practice ethical research, understand that every person's view matters, and we need to really have a holistic understanding of our community. We need to include all voices, and we need to be able to approach communities, different communities within our own, in culturally competent ways.
Yeah.
So that's one of the important things students learn. They learn about the values of Appalachian communities that might be different from communities from which they've come. And so this is funded by the Appalachian Regional Commission. It is a small grant, but it allows us in December to go to DC and present our research in a formal conference.
The analysis of all of the data that is gathered is a process that is, you've got the data gathering and then the data examination and presentation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are two entirely different disciplines, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the Indiana Commissioner Task Force. It just came back to. I was able to pull that file. I apologize. Too little coffee this morning, and we're really excited to work with them. There's two types. That's exactly right. There are essentially two phases to the process, right? Collecting the data, engaging the community, and then essentially digging into what you found and trying to identify threads and meanings, and represent what people are saying appropriately and ethically, and to inform policy, right? That's the hope, is that we can paint a better picture, a more on-the-ground picture of how our community responded to COVID. And that's important right now because, as I mentioned, most research is focusing on urban responses. Only 20% of Americans live in a rural context, but our stories matter too, and we have to understand the differences, like the digital divide. How did it impact people's ability to access telemedicine in our community? Things like that are really important to understand, kind of for future responses.
Would I be correct in assuming then that there are similar studies of other urban areas or other rural areas that you're using as a comparison basis, and of course the urban areas too?
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
would apply too.
Yeah, absolutely. Anthropology and this kind of research is inherently comparative. It's inherently historical as well, right? We need to understand where our ideas about disease and vaccines and health come from, and they're different in Northern Appalachian communities than they are in other areas, right? There's very, very clear cultural differences. And so we have to contextualize that before we start to really kind of try to promote certain approaches. It's a very nuanced kind of approach, and it requires care and investment in the community. And that's really one of the important things that students learn, is they become invested in our community, because we know, unfortunately, what happens in Appalachia is when young people get educated, they often leave, right? This process of brain drain. We want our young people to stay here and invest in their communities.
Like you did.
Like I did. I came back. Yes, absolutely.
Well, that's wonderful. So the workshop is going to be at 1 o'clock on Saturday.
That's correct.
And
we want to hear people's stories. And we want to talk about Appalachian values and essentially what, the strengths in our communities. We really want to highlight the fact that this is a very resilient community, and we were able to respond to food insecurity, and the borough police is an example of an institution that quickly adapted to this completely new context. I mean, we have lots of stories of people really working really hard to take care of one another. Those are the stories we want to highlight. Yeah,
and you will therefore be collecting stories.
Yes,
at
absolutely.
The workshop.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you'd love to have people come.
Please come and share.
And where is it going to be happening?
It is at the old Fox's Pizza Building.
Okay.
Right directly across from Spaghetti Benders. It will be at 1:30 on Saturday afternoon. It's about a 45-minute workshop.
1:30. It says 1 o'clock on the website.
Oh, I'm sorry. 1 o'clock. Yes, 1 o'clock.
Okay. Don't want to get that time wrong.
No, we don't. Yes, I will be there at 1 o'clock.
Do you have to go change your calendar now?
Yes, no, I do. I believe it is 1 o'clock. I think you're right. I just also wanted to plug really quickly 2 other workshops. Denise Jennings Doyle and her wonderful work with the Blairsville Underground Railroad is also doing a workshop, and then there's a violin making workshop as well. So lots of great stuff happening this weekend.
Yeah, it's amazing to me, the Northern Appalachian Folk Festival, the character of it.
Yeah, it's really wonderful that this is in our town.
Yeah, it really is. So all of the music, all of the fun stuff, and then this, which for you is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is your ballpark.
Yeah, it is. It is my joy to be able to work at IUP and live in my hometown and make those linkages with students in the community. That's a really important thing.
Just to tease us a little bit.
Sure.
How does Indiana County, since most of the study is based here in Indiana County, how does Indiana County respond, or how did it in the early stages and moving through the middle stages of the pandemic? Did we do well, I guess?
Yeah, we did. We did well. We had, well, if you look at kind of the Appalachian context or Appalachian context, both are correct. We had a lot more kind of in place to be able to respond than many communities. That has a lot to do kind of with our geography, our history, our northern location. We are able to kind of draw economically more from, for example, the Pittsburgh region than other Appalachian communities. Pittsburgh is the only kind of major city in Appalachia, and our proximity there is helpful economically. We are identified as a transitional economy according to the Appalachian Regional Commission. So that means that we have moved out of, when it was established in 1965, we have moved forward in our kind of economic position successfully in Indiana County. That has a lot to do with the industries here. IUP is an important part of our economic lifeblood. And so we did well. That is the good story, right? But I feel like it is a very important time for us to kind of be introspective and look at our community and understand, how we will respond in the future to unfortunately potentially future shock events, be they environmental or medical or whatever comes our way as a community.
And as we're finding out right now, it's also an incomplete story, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And that's why now's the time, right? Everybody has these experiences very fresh, right? We're processing. We're still processing. Right now is a really critical time for researchers to collect these stories.
She is Dr. Abigail Adams. Her workshop is at 1 o'clock.
Yes, I will be there, I swear.
At the Northern Appalachian Folk Festival. And as she said, there are a couple of other workshops. It's all part of an amazing weekend coming for Indiana County. Thanks for coming in to visit with us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to see you in person after talking with you on the phone before.
Yes, it's lovely to be in person.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. So Fox News is up next at the top of the hour. We're going to follow that with the Brian Kilmeade Show on this Thursday morning.